I want to start by asking you a simple question. Have you ever stayed too long with someone who deep down you knew wasn't right for you? Maybe you told yourself they just needed time, or that you could love them into changing. Or worse, that if you just became a little more, they might finally choose you the way you were choosing them. I've coached thousands of people, and I can tell you this, the most dangerous partner is not the one who treats you horribly from day one. It's the one who gives you just enough to keep you hoping, doubting, and staying, year after year. But here's the true thought. You don't need 10 years to figure out if someone is wrong for you. You don't even need 10 months. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you the patterns, the mindset shifts, and the red flags that can save you from wasting the most precious resource you have: your time, your peace, and your heart. Let's talk about the wrong partner and how to spot them before they cost you another year of your life. When you're constantly unsure where you stand with someone, that's not a gray area. It's a red flag. We often convince ourselves that uncertainty means there's still something to figure out, some clarity to gain, some puzzle piece missing that, once found, will make everything make sense. But the truth is, if you're always confused about how someone feels, it's because they're not giving you something consistent or solid to hold on to. The right person doesn't leave you guessing. They don't make you decode mixed signals or feel like love is a test you have to keep passing. What keeps us hooked in these unclear situations is hope. Hope that things will change, that they'll finally wake up and realize what they have. And so we analyze every message, replay every conversation, and ask our friends, do you think they really like me? That question alone is the biggest clue. Because when someone genuinely values you, it shows. You don't need to dissect their words for signs of interest or read between the lines of every interaction. The right person makes their intentions clear, not through grand declarations, but through consistency, effort, and presence. We also tend to internalize this confusion as something being wrong with us. We think, maybe I'm expecting too much, or maybe I'm not enough to make them commit. But it's not about being enough. It's about being with someone who is ready and willing to meet you where you are. And readiness isn't something you can inspire in another person. It's either there or it's not. So here's the hard truthing: if you're constantly unsure about what you are to someone, then you're not a priority to them. That might hurt, but it's better to confront that now than invest more time in someone who's emotionally unavailable or unwilling to be honest with themselves, let alone you. The person who wants to build something real with you won't keep you in limbo. They won't breadcrumb you with just enough attention to keep you invested. They'll show up fully, clearly, and without games. Because when someone is right for you, love doesn't feel like a riddle you have to solve. It feels like clarity. Attraction is powerful, but it's not enough to build a healthy, lasting relationship. We often mistake intense chemistry for deep connection, thinking that if the spark is strong, the bond must be real. But chemistry is easy, it's instant, emotional, and sometimes overwhelming. It lights you up, makes your heart race, and gives you butterflies. And because it feels so good, we give it too much credit. We convince ourselves that the heat means something more, that if the passion is there, everything else will fall into place. But here's the truth: attraction can pull you towards someone who's completely wrong for you. You can be deeply attracted to someone who isn't emotionally available, who doesn't treat you with respect, or who isn't aligned with your values or vision for life. That chemistry can blind you to red flags, causing you to ignore your gut and override your standards. You think, but I've never felt this way before. And that becomes the justification to keep chasing something that's ultimately unfulfilling. What you really need in a relationship is alignment, shared values, mutual respect, emotional safety, and consistency. You need someone who doesn't just make your heart race, but who also shows up when it matters. Someone who can hold space for your needs, your emotions, and your future. That doesn't always come with fireworks, but it builds something far more powerful than fleeting chemistry, real connection. We get into trouble when we lead with attraction and then try to build backwards. We fall for the feeling, and then we start rationalizing everything else. Their behavior, the lack of effort, the emotional distance. We try to make a relationship work just because we feel so drawn to them. But a relationship based on chemistry without compatibility is like building a house on sand. It might look beautiful for a while, but it can't weather the storm. You can't build a future off a feeling. You need foundation. You need to know that the person standing next to you isn't just someone who turns you on, but someone who has your back. Attraction should be the spark, not the structure, because no matter how magnetic someone feels, if they can't meet you emotionally, show up consistently, and grow with you, it's not love, it's a distraction. In the early stages of a relationship, it's easy to get swept away by intensity. The late night phone calls, the constant texting, the deep conversations that make you feel seen. It's intoxicating. It feels like something out of a movie, like you've finally found the person who just gets you. But intensity is not the same as consistency. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake the high of a fast, emotional connection for the signs of a stable, lasting relationship. Intensity shows up quickly. It burns bright. It's passionate and exciting, but often unpredictable. One moment, they're all in, calling you the one, making big promises, talking about the future. The next, they're distant, distracted, or emotionally unavailable. This hot and cold pattern creates anxiety and confusion, but you stay because you remember how good the highs felt. You think if you can just get back to place, everything will be okay. So you chase it, you try harder, you hold on tighter, but it never really goes back because it was never built on something real. Consistency, on the other hand, isn't always flashy, but it's what builds trust. It's someone showing up when they say they will. It's them keeping their word, being emotionally steady, and investing time even when it's not convenient or exciting. It's the slow burn that grows stronger over time. Consistency is how you know someone is actually serious about you, not just in words, but in action. The problem is, we've been conditioned to associate love with drama. We think love has to be complicated, full of tension and uncertainty. But real love doesn't feel like a roller coaster. It feels safe, it feels grounded, it gives you peace, not anxiety. If someone is only amazing when it's convenient, if they disappear and reappear with just enough charm to keep you hooked, that's not passion. That's emotional manipulation. The truth is, anyone can give you intensity for a moment. Very few people can give you consistency over time. And the right relationship, the one worth building your life around, isn't the one that starts in a whirlwind. It's the one that shows up a day in and day out with presence, patience, and purpose. Because love isn't proven by how fast it starts. It's proven by how well it lasts. One of the most revealing moments in any relationship is when you say, no. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be as simple as saying you're not comfortable with something, that you need space, or that you have different boundaries. What happens next tells you everything you need to know, because the wrong person won't hear your no as a healthy boundary. They'll take it as a challenge, a rejection, or a threat to their control. Some people are great when everything's going their way. As long as you're agreeable, accommodating, and giving them what they want, things seem fine. But the second you push back, even gently, their true nature comes out. They might try to guilt you, shame you, argue, or even withdraw completely to punish you. This is emotional immaturity, and it's a major red flag, because someone who truly respects you will also respect your boundaries, even when it's inconvenient for them. Relationships require two whole people who can communicate openly and accept limits without seeing them as personal attacks. If someone can't handle hearing no without making you feel guilty or anxious, that's not a relationship. That's control. You deserve to feel safe expressing your needs and limits, not terrified of how the other person will react. It's also important to understand that a respectful partner will actually appreciate your boundaries. They won't see them as barriers, but as ways to better understand you and deepen the connection. They'll listen, ask questions, and want to make sure they're honoring your emotional space. That's emotional maturity. That's what a real relationship looks like. So many people stay stuck with partners who react poorly to boundaries because they confuse that tension for passion or intensity. But real intimacy isn't built on fear or eggshells. It's built on trust. And trust means being able to show up fully and honestly, even when your answer is no. The wrong person will see your boundary as the end of their power. The right person will see it as the beginning of real partnership. And if someone consistently makes you feel bad for protecting your peace, that's not someone you need to explain yourself to. That's someone you need to walk away from. There's a difference between communicating your needs and constantly having to justify them. In a healthy relationship, expressing what you need emotionally, mentally, or physically should be a conversation, not a battle. But if you find yourself repeating the same things over and over, trying to make your partner understand basic respect, affection, consistency, or effort, it's not because you're being unclear, it's because you're being ignored. It's easy to start questioning yourself. You think, maybe I'm not saying it right, or maybe I'm expecting too much. So you try to be more patient, more understanding, more careful with your words. But no matter how gently or directly you say it, the result is the same: nothing changes. That's not a miscommunication. That's someone who hears you and chooses not to act. A partner who cares about your needs doesn't need to be begged or reminded 50 times. They might not always get it right the first time, but they'll make an effort. They'll care that you're uncomfortable, that something isn't working, that you're feeling neglected or unimportant. If every conversation turns into a debate, if you're made to feel dramatic, needy, or too sensitive, then you're not in a space where your emotional needs are safe. You're in survival mode, trying to prove you're worth basic care. We often stay in these situations because we think, if I can just find the right words, maybe they'll understand. But it's not your job to be a relationship translator. You don't need to shrink yourself into silence or overextend yourself into clarity. If someone values you, they will want to understand. They'll ask questions. They'll follow through. They won't make you feel like you're asking for too much. Because they'll see that what you're asking for is actually very simple respect, effort, and care. You are not hard to love. You're just trying to be loved by someone who's unwilling to meet you where you are. And that's the real issue. Not your tone, not your timing, not your delivery. When someone really wants to build with you, your needs won't feel like burdens. They'll feel like opportunities to get closer. If you keep having to explain yourself over and over, maybe it's time to stop talking and start listening to what their inaction is already saying. When a relationship ends or someone fails to love us the way we hoped, it's easy to internalize that experience as proof that something is wrong with us. We replay the moments, searching for what we could have done differently. Maybe if we were more fun, more attractive, more easygoing, they would have stayed. Maybe if we hadn't asked for too much, hadn't said how we felt, hadn't drawn that line, they wouldn't have pulled away. But this kind of thinking turns their inability to love us properly into a personal failure. And that's not fair or true. Just because someone couldn't show up for you, give you consistency, or treat you with respect doesn't mean you were too much. It doesn't mean you were too emotional, too needy, or too intense. It means they weren't capable, ready, or willing to meet you where you are. And that has nothing to do with your worth. We have to stop making other people's shortcomings our emotional baggage. Sometimes, the wrong person teaches you exactly what the right love should never feel like. Their absence of effort reminds you what effort really looks like. Their silence highlights the kind of communication you deserve. Their unpredictability makes you crave peace, not passion. You learn through contrast, And that's not failure, that's growth. It's also important to realize that healing doesn't come from rewriting yourself to be more likable for the next person. It comes from reclaiming who you are when you're not busy trying to prove yourself. The right person will not be confused by your standards, your depth, or your desire for something real. They will recognize it and meet it. Heartbreak can make you forget who you are. It makes you question everything you gave so freely. But don't let the wrong person distort your reflection. You're not broken because they couldn't love you. You're just learning that some people come into your life to remind you of your value by showing you what it looks like when someone fails to honor it. Your job isn't to convince anyone of your worth. Your job is to remember it, protect it, and never again hand it to someone who treats it like it's negotiable. To wrap this up, here's the truth: I want you to walk away with your time. Your heart and your energy are your most valuable resources. You don't owe anyone endless chances to prove they're right for you. The sooner you recognize the patterns of the wrong partner, the confusion, the empty intensity, the disrespect of your boundaries, the sooner you free yourself to find the love you truly deserve. Remember, love isn't supposed to feel like a puzzle or a test. It's meant to feel clear, steady, and real. So give yourself permission to walk away from what doesn't serve you and make space for the person who will show up for you consistently, respectfully, and wholeheartedly. Because when the right person comes along, you won't have to waste time guessing. You'll just know.